Welcome to Positively Punk, our very first deep dive into all things solar punk. Every week, we're going to be exploring a bunch of different topics through that solar punk lens, like technology, nature, art community, you name it.
Yeah, it's going to be an exciting journey, envisioning a brighter and more sustainable future together.
I love that. And, it's like solar punk is the total opposite of all those dystopian futures. You know, the ones we see in movies and books all the time?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Like, instead of doom and gloom, it's about actually fixing the problems, you know?
Totally. It's not about ignoring the challenges, but it's definitely approaching them with a sense of optimism.
Yeah, and I think that's where the whole idea of reclaiming optimism comes in. I found this SolarPunk manifesto online, and it says, "We are solar punks because optimism has been taken away from us, and we are trying to take it back."
That's powerful. I think that really sums up the heart of the movement. It's about taking back control and believing in a better future.
I love that. So let's dig into this manifesto a little bit. It talks about a future that's like post-scarcity, post-hierarchy, and post-capitalistic.
Right.
What do those terms even mean, like practically speaking?
Okay, so post-scarcity means everyone has access to what they need, the resources for a good life, not like everyone having a private jet or anything, but ensuring everyone has the basics like food, water, shelter, healthcare.
So it's not about luxury, it's about abundance of the essentials.
Exactly.
Got it. And what about this post-hierarchy thing?
Well, that suggests a more equal society where power is more evenly distributed.
Ah, interesting. And decisions are made more inclusively.
Okay.
And then post-capitalistic, does that mean like no money at all?
Not necessarily. It's more about moving away from a system that prioritizes profit over people and the planet. Like maybe we'd see more cooperatives or localized economies.
So instead of always wanting more and more, we'd focus on sharing and making sure everyone has enough.
Yeah, a real shift in values.
Makes you think, what if our current systems aren't working? What are the alternatives? And what parts of our lives could benefit from a more community-focused approach?
It's a big question, but an important one.
For sure.
And the manifesto reminds us that we can start making changes now. It talks about building nests of self-sustaining revolution through all sorts of different tactics.
So like, what would that look like in real life?
Well, it could be simple things like biking or walking more,
Yeah.
growing some of your own food, even just a few herbs on a windowsill.
Oh, yeah.
Or supporting local businesses.
Those are great ideas.
Little actions that can ripple outwards.
I love that.
It's about making tangible change.
Not just dreaming.
Right.
So it's about living our values in a practical way.
Exactly. And that leads us to another really interesting part of SolarPunk, the aesthetic.
Oh, yeah, the look and feel. When I think of solar punk, I definitely picture something specific.
So what are some of those key elements? Well, imagine a world where technology and nature are totally integrated. Cities with buildings covered in greenery, rooftop gardens everywhere. And solar panels seamlessly built into the architecture.
So it's not about rejecting technology. It's about making it work with nature.
Exactly. SolarPunk is all about innovation, but with sustainability and beauty in mind.
That's so different from cyberpunk, where technology is always like cold and sterile.
Oh, yeah, good point. SolarPunk sees technology as a tool for positive change.
I like that a lot. And the manifesto actually mentioned some really specific visual cues, like repurposing old infrastructure, drawing inspiration from Art Nouveau, and creating technology that has high-tech backends with simple, elegant outputs.
Right. It's finding that balance between practical and beautiful, blending form and function.
It's like walking down the street and feeling inspired by the buildings and how they interact with nature.
Exactly. And that's what's so cool about SolarPunk. It's not just surviving, it's about thriving in a world that's beautiful.
It makes you wonder, what if our cities were designed with beauty and sustainability in mind from the beginning? What would our lives be like? How would we feel?
Yeah, it really makes you think.
It does.
And, it's not just about how things look. This SolarPunk vision, it goes way deeper. It's like everything we do, the food, the clothes, how we power our homes.
Yeah, it's like this holistic approach. Everything's connected, working in harmony with nature and with us.
Exactly. And I think that's what sets SolarPunk apart. It's not just about reducing our impact. It's about actually helping the planet, making it healthier.
Yeah, the regenerative approach.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, so we've talked big picture stuff, but let's get down to earth for a minute. How can people actually live these SolarPunk ideas without totally changing their lives?
Well, I think one of the simplest things is energy. Like paying attention to how much you use. Could you switch to a renewable energy provider?
Oh, yeah.
Or find ways to use less electricity at home? Maybe air dry your clothes instead of using the dryer. Switch to LED light bulbs. Those are good starting points. It's funny how we overlook the simple stuff sometimes. We think we need some huge change, but really it's the little things that add up.
Totally. And another small choice that can make a difference is food. A lot of solar punk stories talk about urban gardens and growing food locally.
Yeah, I love that idea. Even if you just grow a few herbs or a tomato plant on your balcony.
Right, it connects you to where your food comes from. And you appreciate nature more. Plus, it's just so satisfying to eat something you grew yourself.
Oh, for sure. And even if you don't have space for a garden, you can support local farmers markets or community gardens.
That's a great way to get involved. And that brings us to another everyday thing, transportation.
Yeah, I'm guessing SolarPunk isn't all about big SUVs.
Not really. The manifesto talks about new pedestrianism, walking, biking, public transport. That's the focus.
Makes sense. Better for the environment, and it creates a stronger community. Imagine a city designed for people, not just cars.
Yeah. Tree-lined bike paths, efficient public transit, walkable cities.
Sounds so much nicer. And it ties back to what we were saying before, that beauty is important in SolarPunk. It's not just about being practical. It's about creating a world that's beautiful and inspiring.
Absolutely. The manifesto actually says SolarPunk is beautiful. It's about finding that perfect spot where sustainability and beauty come together.
Because honestly, a sustainable future doesn't have to be boring. It can be vibrant, colorful, joyful.
Exactly. And that's a key message. It makes the whole idea of a sustainable future more appealing. It's not about giving things up. It's about creating a world that's even better than what we have now.
Okay, we've covered a lot. I think we're starting to get a feel for what SolarPunk is really about. But I'm curious, are there any, misconceptions about SolarPunk, things people get wrong?
Yeah, I think one big one is that it's all about technology. Sure, technology is a part of it, but it's not about the gadgets themselves. It's about using them thoughtfully to create a better world.
So not rejecting technology, but using it for good.
Exactly. And another misconception is that it's just a naive fantasy. Yes, it's optimistic, but it's not ignoring the problems. It's about seeing them and finding solutions.
It's like hope with a plan.
I like that. It's about believing things can be better and then taking action to make it happen.
And that action doesn't have to be some huge thing. It can be small, everyday choices.
Absolutely. And that's what makes SolarPunk so powerful. It's not just stories or aesthetics. It's a call to action, an invitation to imagine a better future and then create it.
That's such a good point. And it reminds me that the manifesto makes a big deal about being inclusive. It specifically says that SolarPunk welcomes people from all backgrounds, cultures, religions, abilities, sexes, genders, sexual identities. Everyone's welcome.
That's so important. A truly sustainable future has to be fair for everyone. It can't just benefit a small group of people.
So it's not just about the environment. It's about social justice, too.
Exactly. They're all connected. You can't solve one without the others.
That's a good point. We've been talking about all the good things about SolarPunk, which is awesome. But are there any, downsides or challenges, things people might not be thinking about?
That's a really good question. I think one challenge is making sure the transition to a SolarPunk future is fair. We don't want to create new inequalities or displaced communities along the way.
Yeah, we don't want to just trade one set of problems for another.
Exactly. And another challenge is global cooperation. A real SolarPunk world would need countries to work together in a way we haven't really seen before.
That's true. Even if we build amazing, sustainable communities, we still have to figure out how to tackle big issues together, like climate change and resource scarcity.
Right. So yeah, there are some big obstacles, but I think that's where the SolarPunk spirit comes in. It's about approaching those challenges with creativity and optimism.
Instead of getting stuck in negativity, we can say, okay, this is tough, but how do we fix it?
Exactly. And that energy, that problem-solving mindset is what makes SolarPunk so inspiring. It's a movement that keeps evolving, with people from all over the world sharing their ideas.
And I think it's important to remember that there's no one right way to be a SolarPunk. It's about finding what works for you and your community.
Totally. It's about taking these big ideas and making them your own, experimenting, seeing what fits.
So it's not a strict set of rules. It's more like a mindset, a set of values.
Exactly. Creativity, collaboration, and a commitment to building a better world.
I love that. Well, as we wrap up this first deep dive into SolarPunk, I'm feeling super energized by all these possibilities.
Me too. This has been a great conversation.
We've covered a lot. The philosophy, the aesthetic, practical ways to live SolarPunk, and even some potential challenges.
A great overview. And hopefully our listeners are feeling inspired to learn more, maybe even get involved.
I hope so. So as we sign off, a few key things to remember.
SolarPunk is about hope and action, believing a better world is possible and then doing something about it.
No matter how small. And don't forget, it's inclusive. Everyone is welcome.
Right. No matter who you are or what you're into, you have a place in the SolarPunk community.
And lastly, remember, it's a journey. It's about constantly learning and growing. So be patient, have fun, and don't be afraid to get your hands dirty.
That's perfect advice. We're all in this together, and by working together, we can make this SolarPunk vision a reality.
Absolutely. And if you're ready to explore more, check out replacereality.wtf. It's a fantastic resource for everything solarpunk. Articles, art, links to cool projects.
A great place to connect with other SolarPunks and get inspired.
Until next time, stay curious, stay creative, and stay positive.
And remember, the future is what we make it. Let's make it SolarPunk.